Good evening, everyone. Baruch Hashem, we had some other conversations before this year began. And today we are going to be starting Mitzvah Shackle, Siman Iggeres in Iggeres HaKodesh. And Siman Iggeres, yeah, we're moving.
We're conquering territory.
Yeah. There are 32 Simanim in Iggeres HaKodesh, so we're ready. More than halfway through, but it's not Mamash Hazeh because there's some really long, tough letters coming up from Mitzvah Shackle. Some Kabbalah and some, yeah. But good, okay. And let's see, we might even finish Siman Iggeres today. Let's see.
Small one, small.
Smallish, yeah. Siman Iggeres. This is not a letter, as we mentioned in the past several times. That not every chapter in Iggeres HaKodesh is a letter. Some of them are just Mamarim, which the Alter Rebbe wrote. Again, apparently, when they were after the Alter Rebbe passed away, they wanted to anything they got their hands on, which was Chassidus that the Alter Rebbe actually wrote, the Yadei HaKodesh. Because as we mentioned in the past, most of the Chassidus the Alter Rebbe said the Alter Rebbe did not write. Like if you look over there, the Likutei Torah, those are Mamarim that the Alter Rebbe said, but which he didn't write. So whatever the Alter Rebbe wrote, which was Chassidus HaNegeya, which was Negeya to everyone, they put it in the Iggeres HaKodesh and Kuntei Sachan. So most of the Iggeres HaKodesh's letters, but they're on 6 or 7 simanim. They're not letters, and this is one of them. It's not a letter. It's not a letter, and it's not about tzedakah. It's not about tzedakah. Instead, it's about love. Siman Iggeres, Ksiv. The pasuk says, "Ma'yafisa umana amta ahava b'tanugim." Sason, where's this pasuk from? Where else? Right? Ma'yafisa, how beautiful you are. Umana amta. And how sweet you are, Ava b'tanugim, a love which is characterized by pleasure. So the simple translation is how beautiful and how sweet you are, and who is the you? The Ava b'tanugim. Shlomo HaMelech over here is extolling how great and how beautiful and how sweet is love, but not just any love. Ava b'tanugim, ava, which again is a ava, which is associated with tainug, with pleasure.
I had a granddaughter in Amma.
Okay, there we go. So what we're going to find out over here is that yes, there are 2 different types of ava. Generally speaking, there are many more than 2 types of ava, but all ava generally can be divided into 2 different categories. One of them is ava b'tanugim, and the other one is all the other levels of ava. And specifically regarding the Ava b'tanugim, we say Ma'yafisa mana amta, which, as we know, the word ma reflects when you're exclaiming of how great something is, and it's so great you can't even describe its greatness. You're just saying how great it is. Ma'yafisa, how beautiful it is, mana amta, and how sweet it is. So what are these 2 types of? What are these 2 types of Ava? Hine beis mini Ava. There are 2 different types of Ava. Ha'alef, ha'echad, the first type of ava, the first type of love is ava b'tanugim. And before we do this outside, before we do it inside, let's do it outside so that when we do it inside, we know what we're talking about. Now, the truth is that this is a topic which the Alter Rebbe talks about already earlier on in Tanya in Likutei Amarim. Alter Rebbe talks about it a little already in Perik Tes, and then later in Perik Yud. And the Alter Rebbe also, and later on in Tanya in Perik Mem Gimel and Mem Daled, the Alter Rebbe talks about the various levels of Ava, also in Perik Nun. And as it turns out, in general, there are 2 different types of Ava. One type of Ava is an Ava which we create. It's an Ava which we have to work upon, and it's up to us to be Megala this Ava, to reveal this Ava for Hashem, this love for Hashem. Another place, I mentioned a different place, Alter Rebbe talks about it. Actually, another place Alter Rebbe talks about it at length is in the Hakdama to Shar Yichud V'Amunah, which we learned Chinuch Katan, for those who recall. The Alter Rebbe also talks about it at length. And then there's another type of Ava, which is a Matana from above. It's a Matana from Hashem. And this Ava, which a person gets as a Matana from Hashem, it's not the product of one's own work, it's not the product of one's own effort, but it's a Matana, it's a gift from above, for very holy people. So it's not only it's a greater Ava, but it's a different kind of Ava. Because there are 2 different types. When we're talking about love, there is a love which is characterized, there's a love which is a quieter love, a pleasurable love, and then there's a love which is a louder love, and it's not so much pleasure, but it's more about desire and yearning. This is something we've talked about in the past. Those of you recall, an example that we used in the past is love between siblings, which is a quieter love. It's not as passionate, but it's a very, very deep love. And the main thing is a love of experience of closeness. Whereas the love between spouses, by definition, is more passionate, it's more up and down, and it's two opposites trying to connect to each other, and it's the yearning. It's the yearning to become one. But even in the love between spouses, like you know the difference between the love of newlyweds, Shana Rishonaniks, what we call them, and a couple that's been married for 50 years, or 40 years. How long are you married for, Zohar?
40 years.
48 years. So how would you compare the love of your marriage now to the love in the first year?
Getting stronger and stronger and
It's
stronger.
getting stronger and stronger. But the love in the first year, in the Shana Rishona, is louder. Do you know what I mean by louder? When I say it's louder?
It's true.
It's louder. And why is that? And by the way, which love is the stronger love? There's no question. The stronger love is the one which is, the one that's decades old. But what happens is after you're married for many years, it's not so much yearning. It's not so much you're thirsty. You're connected. You're one, and you enjoy that. You enjoy that oneness. You can be sitting together in the living room, and you're not saying a word, and she's not saying a word, and you're just enjoying being together. There's that oneness. There's that tainug. There's that pleasure in the relationship itself, as opposed to the excitement and the passion and the thirst and the yearning comes from when you don't feel one. You feel. You want to become one. You're trying to reach that place of oneness, but when you're not there yet, so you really, it's not so much pleasure, but rather it's thirst. And the same thing is also in terms of the love of the neshama to Hashem. And by the way, there's both of those things exist in our connection to Hashem, which is why we say in Shir HaShirim, he says Hashem talks about us. He says Pischi lerekel doidi doifek, and he says Pischi li achoisi rayasi, my sister, my beloved. And these two, the achoisi and the rayasi, these are these two different types of love. There's the sister, which is a lot like a brother and a sister, which is what we call ava betanugim. It's a pleasurable love. You hang out with a sibling. There's no tension. That's what it's supposed to be, at least, right?
Supposed to.
Well, right? It's calm, it's relaxed, it's enjoyable. You are connected. You don't need to work on that connection. You don't need it. A marriage, you're always working on the marriage, right? That's the rayasi. So there's something special about the love which is there also in that thirst type of love.
They put effort in.
You have to put effort in. But the main thing is there's a mavukish over there. There's the object. There's one type of love which is when you're seeking the object of your love, and the other type of love is when you've gotten the object of your love and you're experiencing the object of your love. And in terms of our connection to Hashem, again, we have these two things. There is, starting with the lower level of love, even though the Alter Rebbe is going to start over with the higher one, but when I give it over to you now, the lower level of love is the love which we have to work on. It's taka, a love which every single yid has. We're born with it. We have a neshama, and because we have a neshama, we love Hashem, we want to connect to Hashem. But that's the love which is symbolized by psukim such as Tzam Malacha Nafshi, where we're expressing our thirst. And what does thirst mean? Thirst means I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't feel connected to Hashem. I don't feel that I'm united with Hashem like I want to be. I'm not experiencing that relationship. I'm not experiencing that unity. I'm here, I'm an Olam Hazeh Gashmi. And I have a guf and I have a nefesh Bahamas, and I yearn for Hashem, and I feel so distant. That's the kind of love, and that's the kind of love which there's no excuse for. Meaning, that's a love which every single yid could and should foster for Hashem.
It said, "Kohoi kol tzameh lechu lamayim."
Exactly. The Rebbe is going to quote that pasuk over here. And then you have, for a person who's a truly holy person, the way the Rebbe talks about it, a person who's sholem biyira, a person who's already reached the shleimus, perfection in the area of Yira Shemayim, as a gift from above, this person receives the higher level of love. What does that mean? This person gets to experience Hashem. Not just to want Hashem, but to experience Hashem. And that obviously can only come as a gift. To be able to truly unite with Hashem and experience Hashem, that's not something you can do. You're a nivra, you're a small creation. That feeling of the feeling of unity, of connection, and actually being able to connect to Hashem in that way, to the point that your love is ava b'tanugim. You've left the state of tzama. You're not anymore in the state of thirst. You're actually in the state of tainug. What Shlomo HaMelech says over here, ma yafisa ma na'amta ava b'tanugim. There's something incredibly great, the beauty of that connection with Hashem. And this is something which most of us we experience in Gan Eden. That's what we experience in Gan Eden, this tremendous connection to Hashem. But for some very, very special people over here in this world, they get to experience Ava B'Tanugim over here. That's what it means. Olam Chatira B'Chayecha. Certain people, they experience their Olam Haba down here. What does it mean to experience Olam Haba down here? It doesn't mean that you win the lotto. Winning the lotto is not Olam Haba. Winning the lotto is Marba Nechasa, Marba Daige. All it means is that you have a bunch of, you have a lot more to worry about. What is Olam Chatira B'Chayecha? Olam Chatira B'Chayecha is when you feel that tainug in connection to Hashem. That's what they have in Gan Eden. Personally feels it down here. I recently read a story. There was a chassid who lived in Montreal, passed away in the 80s. His name was Rabbi Machkin. And he was a Baal Madrega, a holy Jew. He was the mashpia of the Chabad community over there.
The Rabbi said he's the only Bain.
Sorry?
The Rabbi once said he's only true Bain or something.
Okay, if you say so.
That's what I heard.
I kind of doubt it, but okay. It's wasn't the Rebbe's style to start slapping labels on people. That's why I'm doubting it. I'm not saying he wasn't a Bainani. What?
That's why you're skeptical.
Yeah. They say it about someone else. They say it about a different mashpia, but I'm skeptical about that also. Again, I'm not skeptical that they were baiting him. It's very possible they were baiting him. I just have to say that the Rebbe said it about them. I'm skeptical until I'm proven otherwise. But there was a chassid who lived in Montreal. His name was, if I remember correctly, Tenenhaus. He once came into Iggeres by the Rebbe, and he said to the Rebbe, "This world is such a messed up place. I don't understand it. Peretz Machkin doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together. The poor yid can't even afford to buy himself a decent looking kapata, a decent looking suit, to the extent that when he comes to the Rebbe to Yechidus, he borrows from someone a kapata to go in." And then he just heard that in Hollywood there's this actress who just got $5 million for being in a movie. How is it that the actress gets the $5 million and a Peretz Machkin lives in poverty? So the Rebbe responded and said, he says, Rabbi Peretz has no idea that his kapata is torn, and it doesn't bother him in any which way or form. It's completely unimportant to him. And he's very, very happy the way he is. And this actress with all her money is a miserable human being. And soon you'll see what I mean. A few months later she committed suicide. 2 months later this actress committed suicide.
I guessed it, right?
Yeah.
Marbe kesef, marbe rima.
Sorry?
I didn't hear that.
Repeat it to her.
But the whole story.
No. What did the actress do?
She committed suicide a few months later. With all the money she had. Money doesn't make people happy. Connection to Hashem makes people happy. That's what Gan Eden is. And certain tzaddikim get to experience that Ava B'Tanugim over here in our world, in Olam Hazeh Gashmi. So that's with that. Let's do this inside. Hine beis mini Ava, you say there are 2 different types of love for Hashem. Ha'echad. First one is Ava B'Tanugim, the Hainu, which is what this means. Shemis'aneg al Hashem, oinig nifla. A person takes pleasure in Hashem, and a wondrous pleasure. B'simcha rabba v'atzuma, with a tremendous and powerful joy. Simchas hanefesh, this is the joy of the neshama, uchaleisa, and it's expiring. In other words,
What's that mean?
the kleis hanefesh. No, but I don't mean not literally dying, but kleis hanefesh, the neshama, the neshama geta, it's so pleasure. Yeah.
Once you get out of the goof.
Yeah, that's the pleasure.
That's it. Sorry, you know, close enough.
It's a hard word to translate. By the way, this is, that the letters were somewhat organized by topic. In other words, that each letter follows a little somewhat the theme of the previous letter. If you look at the end of the last letter of Siman Yud Zayin, the Alter Rebbe talks there also about Kleis HaNefesh. Remember, L'chol Tichla Re'isi Kates.
Yeah.
The idea of L'chol Tichla, what do you mean? L'chol Tichla, he says that in Gan Eden, there's this Tichla. Every neshama is constantly feeling this Kleis HaNefesh, this yearning and this tremendous desire. Why do we say, Nichseva v'gam kol sa nafshi? That's the idea. The Kaleisa B'ta'ama, why? When a person tastes Ki Toiv Hashem, how great Hashem is. Unoim ni'imus arevus ad lahafli, the sweetness and beauty of Hashem. Me'ein elam haba mamash. These are people that experience elam haba down here in this world. Shadad and chulu. They mamash have hana, neden b'ziv hashchina. In fact, that the Alter Rebbe once went into one of the big shuls. One of the Misnagdish bastions. I don't remember which city it was. And he went up on the shul. He went up on the bima. And he announced with a niggin, as Alter Rebbe, when he would speak, he would be in Fardvekit, he would be in a state of Dvekas. And there's actually a tape of the Rebbe saying this over, and the Rebbe uses the niggin. And the Alter Rebbe announced, Tamuru ki toiv havayim, farzucht unir vetzen, as the Eibers there is good. Taste and you will see that Hashem is good. And that itself, the Elam was so farchapt by the way the Alter, they saw, Alter wasn't just saying it, he was trying to convey a little. The Tamur Ruki Tev Hashem. So when a person has Ava B'Tanugim, they have that, they feel it, they experience it, they taste it. Valzek Sif, and regarding this Madrega of Ava B'Tanugim, the Pasuk says, Simchu Tzadikim B'Hashem. This is something which Tzadikim are Zeicha to. Tzadik is Zeicha to the Simcha, V'loi Kol Adam Zeicha Lazad. It's not something which everyone can be Zeicha to. V'zui B'chines Kahana Beru'usa Deliba. HaKodesh. This is the madrega of the Kohen, who works with Eru'usa Deliba, the Ratzon, the desire of the heart, as described in the Zayar. And regarding this, it says, Avodas Matana V'goimer. The Pasuk says, Avodas Matana Etin es Kunascha, right? That idea of being a Kohen is a gift. Just like Ava B'Tanugim is a gift. It's not something that you can earn. V'hazar HaKari V'goimer. Being a Kohen is not something that someone who's a Zor can come close to. And this is what's explained in the Zohar, that there's in the Beis HaMikdash, you had the Avodah of the Kehanim and the Avodah of the Levine. The Kehanim, their service was quiet. And by the Levine, sorry?
Instruments.
They were singing and instruments, right? And that represents the idea that the Kehanim, their Avat Hashem was the madriga of Ava B'Tanugim, also known as Ava Kamayim, like water, like running waters, which is soft and still. And the Levim, by them, their Avodah was the Avodah of Eish, the Avodah of fire, the Avodah of yearning. It's the chiluk, the difference between the Kehanim and the Levim. I think I've probably mentioned in the past the mashal on this. It's brought on Chassidus, the difference between the loudness of the Levim and the quietness of the Kehanim. Just imagine you have a wealthy person, and one day the wealthy person invites over for a meal, invites over a poor hungry person. I'm talking about a poor hungry person like in the olden times, a poor hungry person. People managed literally, they had people who didn't know what it means to have anything more than a piece of black bread every, once a day. And they start bringing out the food, course 1, course 2, course 3, delicious food, meat and wine and everything. And when they put the table, they put the plate in front of the wealthy person, the host. So what does he do? He's relaxed, he's calm, and then he takes his napkin, puts it over himself, And he takes his fork and his knife and he cuts
Take his time.
a little piece, and then very
Meticulous.
daintily he takes a little piece and chews it. By the time he's chewing the first little piece, the poor person has already smashed the whole piece of meat into his mouth and is chewing, and the whole room hears the way that he's chewing away, and is slapping and is slurping. Now, someone who's a bystander might think that that the poor person is more attached to this food than the rich person. Take a look at the rich person. He's so calm, he's so relaxed. The poor person is so excited about it. What happens if tomorrow the poor person doesn't have any of this food? He has just this piece of black bread. And if the rich person also tomorrow only has a piece of black bread, who's going to be fine and who's not going to be fine?
The rich guy would be.
Poor person will be fine. That's what he's used
They'll
to.
be fine.
And
back
this
then.
is
The rich
regular.
person is going to go crazy.
Go crazy.
So the rich person, with all his quietness and with all his relaxedness and calmness, to him this is his lifeline. The poor person,
Regular.
it's a luxury for him. It's a luxury for him. The noise doesn't tell the story. It's not only that. The reason why the rich person isn't excited, isn't making noise, because he's one with the experience. That's part of his lifestyle. That is him. That is his lifestyle. So he's relaxed. He's calm. He takes pleasure in it. He enjoys it. He has the Ave B'Tanugim. The poor person knows it's not his lifestyle. It's something he yearns for. It's something that, and that's why he's so noisy. And that's why, because noise, they say, if you light a log on fire and it's making a lot of noise, why is it making noise? It's because it's moist. There's a lot of resistance over there. And that's where the noise comes from. If there is no moisture over there, it's quiet. When there's no resistance, it's quiet. Same thing is the tzaddik, the kohen, who's serving Hashem with Ava B'Tanugim. There's no resistance over there. He's one with the experience. He's quiet. The Levi represents what we call the Ava Kirish B'Yesh, the love which is like fire, which makes noise. But ultimately, the avodah of the kohen is this tremendous matana, just like being a kohen is not something that anyone can, the greatest tzaddik can't become a kohen. Right? David HaMelech couldn't become a kohen. Moshe Rabbeinu, okay, he was a kohen. He's a kohen gadol, but I'm saying is, all the other great, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai, all these people, a kohen is something you can't earn. The same thing is also, Ava B'Tanugim is not something you can earn.
Rabbi, the Levine, when they were playing, not soft music, loud music, soft. Why? So
Any music, even soft music,
Makes noise.
is more noise than quiet.
Relatively speaking. Relative.
Yeah, 2 lines on the top, and
They were
the
singing,
emphasis. I
right?
have no idea what kind of music they played.
They were singing also, though. It's not.
They were singing, yeah. But the way I imagined the Levine, they were excited. I would imagine they weren't. It wasn't elevator music. 2 lines on the top. Ki ein derech lahasiga idei yas basar. This Ava B'Tanugim. You can't achieve it through the exerting of the body. Kimei hayira. This is unlike yira, for example, which the Gemara says that sheshoyel and aleha. And when a person comes up after 120 years, they ask the person yagata b'yira. It's one of the first questions they ask. Did you have a yegia to have yiras Hashem? And why is that? Because yira, with enough yegia, with enough toil, with enough exertion, yira you can have. It says over there, woe is to the person
It does not.
that didn't put in a yegia and have yira shemayim. Uksiva, the pasuk says b'yira regarding yiras Hashem. The pasuk says im tavakashna kakesa v'goymer. If you search for it like gold, like silver and like gold, and then the pasuk continues, it's tav in yiras Hashem, then you'll arrive at yiras Hashem. Melamed shesricha yegia rabba v'atzuma. This teaches us that when it comes to yiras Hashem, it requires a tremendous yegia, a tremendous toil. Ki mechapes acher itzris, like a treasure hunter. We all know how much effort treasure hunters put into their work. That's the kind of work you need to put into yira. Aval, however, Rabazu, when we're talking about this tremendous level of Aval B'Tanugim, Neifelas la'adam me'eleha milamayla. It's not something which is earned. It's something which falls onto a person by itself as a gift from above. B'li sheyachin v'yikavin la. There's no way to prepare for it. There's no way that you should have kavana to get it. Ach v'rak, however, when does this happen? Only achar shenis yageya b'yiras harememus. After a person has really worked hard on arriving at Yiras Hashem, and not only Yiras Hashem, but the highest level of Yiras Hashem, which is called Yiras Harememus. Earlier on in Tanya, the Rebbe talks about different madrigas in Yira, and the highest level of Yiras was called Yiras Harememus, which is an ultimate awe and reverence for the Eibishter himself. You're not even awed by what the Eibishter has done or accomplished. It's not even as if you look at creation and say, "Wow, look at creation. Hashem created it all, so Hashem must be so great." That's called the lower level of Yira. Because then that's not really an awe of Hashem. That's an awe of Hashem's
Attributes.
actions and His power.
Yeah.
We've spoken about this.
Yeah, but how could you define Hashem directly? A Roman Muslim. He has no, there's no, there's no,
In the language of man, it's not accurate, but
The mashal that's brought down of Siddur, the Alter Rebbe writes it's not in Tanya, but he writes it in the Siddur. The mashal is the difference between the awe that you feel when you're in front of a king, as opposed to the awe that you feel when you're in front of a great tzaddik. What's the difference? When you're in front of the king, why are you in awe? Because the king is so great.
no,
He's so smart. He's so wise. No.
what's his power?
More often than not, the kings are garnished. So why are you in awe? Like here in
Yes.
America, we know about politicians who are garnished, right? So here you have
he
the
can have you killed.
commander in chief, right? He has the power.
Yes.
So you have the leader of the free world, and there's a mamish,
That's it.
they say a shtik nevela, garnished, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not getting political. This is it's pretty much whoever you're talking about. In that,
I figure what you figure.
yeah, not talking about any one person in specific. So why when you're in the presence of the President of the United States do you feel awe? It's not him. It's the power that he wields. It's the position, right? When you walk in front of a tzaddik, and the awe that you feel then, what power does the tzaddik? Is it because you're afraid of the tzaddik's power? You're like, oh, well, look, he could do a miracle, so he could probably turn me into a frog. Is that what the yira is? Maybe he could turn you into a frog, but if he would turn you into a frog, he's not much of a tzaddik, probably, right? I don't think we have to be worried about that. So what is the yira? And if anyone over here has had the schus of Taka standing in front of a great tzaddik, you know what I'm talking about. It's a tremendous yira. The word fear is not the correct word. It's a tremendous yira, tremendous awe, reverence, a tremendous bittul.
When we were by the Chidut, by the Rabbi, my wife and myself, I couldn't look at his face. It was like fire.
But why? What's he going to do to you?
I couldn't look.
How many soldiers does the Rebbe have? Like what? It's not. So that's called Yiras Haremus. The awe is not from his accomplishments. At the end of the day, or the power that he controls, it's a etzem dika yira which comes from standing in front of greatness. And that is a Yiras Haremus. We can have that for Hashem also. At the end of the day, when you look at Hashem's creations, and that's what brings you the yira. That's not really yira from Hashem. That's just you're saying, I respect everything that He has done and the power that He has. The highest level of yira is called Yiras Haremus. Okay, it's not really the topic over here. But the Alter Rebbe is saying that when a person reaches the highest level of yira, including Yiras Haremus, v'giya l'tachlis mashiyucha lahasig mimena, the person arrives to ultimate what he's able to achieve, and in this area of yira, l'fi b'chinas nishmase, according to the level of his neshama. Depending on the level of your neshama, that's the madrega of ava or yira that you can arrive at. Azai then memela ba ava betanugim l'mayla, then automatically the ava betanugim comes from above. Lishkoin u'lisyachid im hayira, and the ava comes to rest together with the yira. Ki darki shalish lachazer chulu, k'meisher kasuv, k'meisher nizbar b'kutei amarim, as explained in Kutei Amarim. You know, there's a maimer chazal. The darki shalish lachazer acher ha'isha. Some shidduch advice. The woman doesn't go chasing the man. Man, right? I don't know how in today's shidduch climate. I don't know exactly how that works out. But I say that's what Chazal tell us, that derech eretz is the way the world is. The Gemara says why? Because who lost who? The woman didn't. The man lost his rib, so he has to go find it. The woman didn't lose the man. The man lost the woman. So therefore, the man has to go and find the woman. Now we know everything that is true in In Begashmius is because it reflects a spiritual reality, a ruchniistic idea. And we know that Ava and Yira are Zachar and Nekeva. That Ava in general is considered to be a masculine quality. And Kuti Amarim, the Alter Rebbe points to the pasuk Zachar Chaste, which literally means Zachar Chaste. He remembered his chesed, but also if you play around with the word Zachar, Zachar can be Zohar. So Zachar Chaste, which means that Hashem, the chesed is the idea of Zachar. And then we have the Nekeva Isha Yiras Hashem Hitisalo, that the idea of Yira is associated with femininity. So Darki Shalish Lachazer Acher Isha is the way of the man to come and to find, to seek out the woman, means that when you have the woman, which is when you have the shleimus of Yiras Shemayim, which Yiras Shemayim is Nekeva, then the Zachar, the man, which is the Ava, this level of B'tanugim, is going to come and is going to find the Yira. But what's important to understand is it's not pshat that when you have this perfect level of Yira, so then you earned and you deserve to have this Ava B'tanugim. No, Ava B'tanugim, Al-Tara is very clear, you don't earn that. It's not shaykh to earn. A human being cannot earn experiencing Hashem. It's a gift. It's a gift from above. This gift, however, is only given after a person has arrived at perfection. But even after a person has arrived at perfection, it still remains a gift. That is the first level of Ava, which is not shaykh for most people. As the Alter Rebbe says very clearly, Simchu tzadikim b'Hashem. The Rebbe says it's tzadikim, and the words he says, "V'lo yikol adam zeichel." This is not something that everyone can be zeicher to. And when a person comes up to heaven after 120 years, they don't ask him about it. They don't say, "Did you have Ava B'tanugim?" They ask him, "Did you have Yira?" Because that's something that it's an expectation that you should have, and you should work on, and you should exert yourself, and you should earn. But this is not something everyone's zeicher to.
Not the first question they ask him, Asakta be'emunah? That's the first question.
Yeah.
They ask him.
Yeah, but it's the same sugi, Masechta Shabbos.
Yeah.
They ask a few questions. They ask about that. They ask about Kvias Itum Latera. They ask Tzipisa. That's the first question. Nasasa v'Nasata B'Amun is the first question. Tzipisa Yeshua, and then they ask him also, you got to be Yira. So, yeah. Vashenis. What is the second? Also, Masakta period of review also is one of the questions. Vashenis. What is the second type of Ava? Ki Ava v'Taiva is Ava v'Taiva. What is Taiva?
Lust.
Desire. So that's very different than pleasure. In other words, the first word already gives away the difference. The first one's Ava b'Tanugim. This one's Ava, which is characterized by Taiva, by desire and lust. Sha'nefesh mis Ava. The neshama desires, v'heves and loves, v'chafetza and desires, l'dafka b'Hashem, to connect to Hashem, litzrei b'tzerachayim, to be tied up in the bundle of life. V'kir v'asalikim etoiv lamiyoy, that it desires closeness to Hashem. U'vei tachpoitz, that's what it desires, that's what it wants. V'rala me'oid, it finds it very, very unfortunate and bad. That it is far away from Hashem. Because there's an iron curtain, which is made up of chitzoinim, of klippos, which is separating between him and Hashem. Why are klippos called chitzoinim? Anyone knows? We've spoken about this before. Remember that everything comes from Hashem's ratzon, but some things come from the pnimius of Hashem's ratzon. Some things come from chitzonius haratzon. Klippos are the ultimate chitzonius haratzon, which is why they're called the chitzonim. In other words, Hashem doesn't really want them. He needs them for their means towards an end. They're not. He doesn't like them. He doesn't desire them. Va'avazu, this love, which is again characterized by desire, kimusteres believe klal Yisrael, is hidden in the heart of every single Yid. Every Yid has this love for Hashem. Not the Ava b'Tanugim, but the Ava
Of yearning.
the Ava of Taiva, yeah. Even Rishonim. So it just brings you the contrast. The other Ava Tanugim, is only for tzaddikim. And this Ava exists by everyone, even Rishonim. Not only in potential, in actuality. Every single Yid has it, even Rishonim. Umimena ba lahem charata, which is why even Rishayim have charata. I'll tell you done earlier in Tanya and Perik Yud Aleph. The other Maimer Chazal, I forget from where. Maybe Taka Sefer Sheshus Chachma. That Rishayim Maleim charatas. Rishayim are filled with charata. Rishayim Taka they do Averis, but then they have regret. Why do they have regret? Because deep inside they have this love.
So that's a good thing.
Sorry?
That's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
It's beautiful.
Glory at Tshuva.
And that's he's saying that where does this come
You
from?
have the potential.
It comes from the fact that because every single yid has this avat Hashem, that is the source of the charata.
He's
Yeah.
born with it. Right?
Intellect.
How do you uncover it?
However, it's hidden, and it is in galus in the body. The klipa can dominate over it. This is the ruach shtus, which makes a person do an avera. Before we get to the ruach shtus, it's interesting. He talks here about that it's in galus. What does it mean that it's in galus? He says it's not only it's in hidden, it's in galus. What does it mean being in hidden and being in galus? Right. First he says he musteres v'nel lama, it's hidden, and then he adds and it's bebechinas galus.
Goes from where?
Sorry.
If you're in Golos, it has to be where's the
In
origin?
captivity. So the definition of galus and captivity, b'chlal, is brought down, is when you are in a place where number one you can't express yourself. An example is brought down to illustrate this and see this in different places. We know that there's a concept of Gilgulim. Kabbalah talks about the idea of Gilgulim. So Gilgul means that in the neshama sometimes
Let's come back here.
it has to come. We have to not mamish the same neshama, but a neshama spins off, and another neshama comes down here and enters into another person.
You need to take them.
It could be for a tikkun sometimes. Yeah, there are different reasons why there could be a gilgul. But that the reason why is because he didn't finish his job the first time. He has to finish his job.
And not only person, can animal too.
What?
The neshama can come down to be an animal.
And then sometimes it's brought down the neshama can come down as a gilgul in an animal,
That's
or in a tree,
Or even its own man. Yeah.
or in a diamond, right?
Yeah.
Right. But that this is a punishment.
It's a punishment.
It's a
sure.
punishment. In other words, gilgul is not a punishment. When the neshama comes down into another body, it's but when the neshama or a yid has to come down and be in a salmon, that's a punishment. And being a salmon
Fish.
blocks, yeah. Okay, that's a punishment. And why? Because the neshama is in galus. When the neshama comes down as a gilgul into another group, that's not galus. That's not galus because the neshama is coming down into a body in which it can express itself. It can express its seichel and its midas and its various faculties. After all, the neshama is made to be in a guf.
Neshama
But when the neshama comes down into an animal or into a fish or into a tree or into a rock, the neshama is aware of what it is, but it's completely
Can't express itself.
can't express itself. So that's
neshama
that's
can come
galus.
to a goy, and the goy may be midgaya.
Because the neshama, I don't know. I'm not a bucky. I'm not a Kabbalist, and I'm not a bucky in these. I dabbled a little. I know a little about it, but that's a question. That's as they say, it's above my pay grade. Yeah.
It's above your expertise.
Above my expertise, yeah. The Viola Alcohol. So that's considered a galus, and it's very painful. It's painful for the neshama.
It's captivity, though.
It's in captivity, right?
You're in jail.
Right,
That's it.
right.
Behind bars.
So it's not the idea that it's hidden. In other words, hidden means there's something there and you don't see it. Okay, so if I'm in a room and I'm hidden, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm in galus. Galus is a deeper thing. So here we have that this ava that the neshama has is in galus, meaning that it's in the person who wants to express itself, who wants to learn Torah, who wants to do mitzvahs, who wants to connect Hashem, and it can't because of the chitzonim, as you said, because of the wall of the klippah that's separating. But there's something even deeper in galus. That sometimes in galus, what happens is that when you're in captivity by the enemy sometimes, we have it at the Chemad al-Islam, we had it in the Holocaust, that the Yidden, they were being forced to create the ammunition for the Nazis, Yimach Shema. Talk about that, talk about the ultimate galus. Not sometimes in galus you can't do anything. Okay,
Right.
that's a halbatzara. The worse than not being able to do anything
You work you to death.
is when you're forced to contribute towards your
The
captor,
enemy.
to your enemy. Your koiches are being used for something which is the opposite of what you want. That's the worst goals. And earlier on in Tanya and Perik Lamed Aleph, the Rebbe talks about the son of the king who is, the words he uses are, he says, K'mashal ben HaMelech, the mashal of a melech, shehoye b'shivya captivity v'toichen b'veis asurim. And he's forced to grind in the, here's the Ben Melech. It's not only that the Ben Melech is in prison, the Ben Melech is forced to grind and to provide the chveis, whatever the grinding is providing for his enemies. So the same thing is also over here. When he talks about goals, it's interesting that we talk here that the Ava, we say that the Ava, that every Yid has an Ava for Hashem. But the Ava is in goals. Goals means number one, it can't express itself the way it wants to. Like the Chassidus sometimes they'll bring the muscle person was tied up in a sack. It's tied up in a sack. But even worse than that is that sometimes the Ava of the Nefesh Alikis, this Ava is used for things that are the opposite of Kedusha. You know, Yidden, Rahman al-Islam, Yidden are inordinately represented, overrepresented in all different types of cults. And any cause, you know, Bernie Sanders, Baruch Hashem, right? The guy, the one who's the head of the socialist, right? Ayid, Baruch Hashem.
Crazy Bernie.
What?
Crazy Bernie.
Not only that, in the communist movement in Russia was filled with Yidden. Filled with Yidden in the top ranks of it. Whenever there's an ism, whenever there's a movement of people striving and reaching and trying to make the world better and nicer, it's always filled with Yidden. And whether it's the environmental, and by the way, I'm not even saying that these causes are necessarily bad causes. Some of them are good causes. Okay, environmentalism and racism, it's always Yidden. And then you have even the Avodah Zaras. You know, go to India, Rahman al-Islam, and these places where the Avodah Zarah places are filled with Yidden. Filled with Yidden.
Israelis sometimes.
Israelis, Yidden. Why is that?
They're seeking Hashem.
The Yidden are Am Chacham ben Avin, right? But they're seeking. There's this Ava that's burning inside them. And sometimes the Ava can be in Golos. Meaning in Golos means not only that the Ava is dormant, not only that it's someone put it in a sack and closed up the sack and says you can't express yourself. No, it's being forced actually to express itself.
To work for the enemy.
To work for the enemy in perverted ways, right? This is the matzav of the Ava. You think about it. You go through history. And even in times of Tanakh, Yidden were always busy being Avodah Zarah.
Yeah.
That was a Jewish thing. No, they state there's a Rashi, I think in Hazino, that it says over there that when a goy sees this Avodah Zarah, this is Yiddish Avodah Zarah. You know, I'm talking about the Rashi. It's such a far. Only Yidden worship this Avodah Zarah. What do you mean only Yidden? Because Yidden are looking, and their Ava. It's very easy for that Ava to be to go into Golos and to have to serve the enemy.
The whole Navi, the whole Tanakh is, Vatishkot haaretz 40 shana was quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they got punished, and then Hashem brought them Navi to put them back,
Precisely.
and then again and again and again.
Precisely.
The whole Tanakh.
You have to realize that the taiva for Avodah Zarah is not a taiva for a piece of cake. It's very different. It's a spiritual taiva, and it comes directly from the neshama, but neshama and Golos. Neshama and Golos.
So why are they responsible? Why is it a debt? It's something that they can't control?
I didn't say they can't control it. You just took it a step
They
further.
could control.
They could, and there's Torah says what you have to do and what not to do, and Bechira Chavshus. But when the person makes these wrong choices, this is ultimately what's happening is that the energy of the neshama is being used
For the
and
wrong-
directed and channeled in the wrong way. But this is why the Alter Rebbe says, this is why, this idea of Zeu Ruach Shtus Amachti L'Adam. This is the Ruach Shtus. It's something which he's spoken about many times. That doing an Avera is a Shtus. It's foolish.
It's a moment of stud.
Why? Why is it foolish to do an Avera? You want to tell me it's evil to do an Avera? I accept. Okay. Hashem tells me to do an Avera, and I'm saying, I'm defying Hashem. Merid b'malchus. It's treason. Okay, but why is it foolish? If I decide I want to do an Avera, why is it foolish? So obviously we can answer this question on many levels. But the ultimate answer is, and this is why this idea of Ein Adam Ever Avera Elim Ki Nichnas Bei Rosh Shtus is a big idea which is talked about many times. The ultimate idea is, you, deep inside you have an Avat Hashem. This Ava, which we're talking about, this hidden love for Hashem. You desire Hashem. You desire to be connected to Hashem. And when you do an Avera, you're self-sabotaging.
So what?
Self-sabotaging. It's not even that you're going against Hashem. You're going against your own interests. You're going against your own deepest desire. It's stupid. It's not what you want to do. It's a moment of foolishness.
He calls it Ta'ava Gdola.
Sorry?
Ta'ava Gdola. The shtus, Ta'ava Gdola. It grabs a person.
Tava Gdola is a shtus. Because if you were in touch and in tune with this Ava, even the biggest taiva in the world wouldn't get you to do an Avera. Because your desire to connect to Hashem is much more powerful than any taiva. Well, you forget about it. You forget about your Ava. That's the shtus. Good. So we have this Ava. Every single Yid has this Ava, but by certain Yidden, this Ava is in Galus and it's in Klippa.
Misdirected.
It's hidden and or misdirected. Yes.
How you liberate it?
Sorry.
How you liberate?
How do you liberate it is going to be a good question. We're going to have to figure that out. I think we'll do that for next week. So maybe we'll finish it next week. But this is very...
You've been handy like this for a
That was
week.
the whole of Peter Luder was that, no?
You have to come back next
The whole
week.
Tanya was talking
Yeah.
about it,
So,
no?
yeah. But I want to get a review on it.
So this week's Parsha, the essence of what we're talking about over here is Ava. Avas Hashem. And whether it's the higher level of Ava, whether it's the lower level of Ava, but either way, you know that it's such an important idea in Chassidus, that's the idea of serving Hashem with Ava. With Ava. So in this week's Parsha we have, it starts off with the Mitzvah Shackle. And Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Zay Yitnu. Zay Yitnu kol Ever HaKodesh. Right, so famously, in the Yerushalmi it says, Moshe Rabbeinu in the Skasha, Hashem says, give a Matzah Shackle, and Moshe didn't get it. So the Eibishter took out a Matzah Shackle from under the Kisei HaKavod, a Matbeya Shal Eish, took out a Matbeya Shal Eish, a Matbeya made out of fire from under the Kisei HaKavod, and he shows it to him, and he told him that this is Kazay Yitnu, yeah. This is what they should give. So there's famously, there's a Tosfos in Chulim. There it talks about the idea of, it talks when also, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Zois HaChaya. So there also, we have a Chazal tell us that when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu the treifa animals, so he
Show them actually.
showed them the treifa and the kosher ones. So the fact that the Eibishter had to show Moshe Rabbeinu a to'oi and a aku, what are the different animals, which we say are zomer, right? These animals, like, hey, you could say Moshe Rabbeinu never saw the animals, so the Eibishter had to show him what it is. What a Matzah Shackle, Taisa says, why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu know what a Matzah Shackle was? What was the difficulty over there? For the sake of context,
You know how it could be mechaper.
right, that's what Taisa says, that's the answer. But before we get to the answer, and don't steal my thunder like that. So, we have earlier on in Parshas Tildes, so it says that Eliezer takes out a Nezem Zahav, Beka Mishkole, which is a Beka, what is it? Rashi says Beka Mitzvah Shackle. So it wasn't something which wasn't known. So why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu know what the Mitzvah Shackle is? So what is Teish's answer? Teish's Taka says, Moshe wasn't, what issue wasn't they didn't know what Mitzvah Shackle was. He was wondering, how is it that this Mitzvah Shackle is going to be Kofer Nafshi? How is this going to bring a kapara? And that's not a kapara. But we know, brought on the Medrash, the Mitzvah Shackle was meant to be a kapara on the Chet Egel. The Chet Egel, it wasn't Stam and Avera. It's Aveda Zara. Aveda Zara is the most essential Aveda that there is. This is an Aveda which we're Moshe Nefesh for. It's at the, right? It's at the essence of our relationship with Hashem. The Yidden were even Aveda Zara. And now the Eibush is telling you, Mitzvah Shackle, everyone's going to give a Mitzvah Shackle. Suddenly, this is going to be Kofer Nafshe. It's going to bring kapara. How is that shaykh? So that's what Teisha says. No. But the answer is it's a strange answer from Teisha. So then what was Hashem's answer? So he pulls out a Matbeya Shalesh, he pulls out a coin, and how did that answer the question? In other words, the question remains, how is it that a Matbeya, giving a Mitzvah Shackle, to be mechaper on the Avera? So it's brought down the Sfarim. Many different Siddish Sfarim. The Rabbi also talks about this. And the answer is not in the Matbeya, the answer is in the Matbeya Shalesh. That when a Yid does a mitzvah, and he gives tzedakah, not stop, giving tzedakah is not going to bring you the Kefer Nafshe. It's the Eish, it's the fire that's in it, it's the Avas Hashem, the burn, the bren. That is what's going to bring the Kefer Nafshe. And that, when Moshe saw that, that was something which Moshe Rabbeinu was able to understand. That this is really connected to what we're talking about over here, this idea of the importance of Avas Hashem. And where does this fire come from? So this fire is so... What's it? The whole idea of Mitzvah Shackle is a funny mindset. You have, Pasuk says, that everyone has to give a Mitzvah Shackle. Okay, in case you don't know how much the Mitzvah Shackle, the Pasuk says, Esrim Geira, a Shackle. A Shackle is 20 Geira. So Mitzvah Shackle is 10 Geira. So Esr Geira. So the obvious question is, so say that every year you give an Esr Geira.
Why Machatzita Shekel?
Why say Mitzvah Shackle? Mitzvah Shackle. And how much is that? Well, a shekel is Esrim Geira, and therefore give Esr Geira. You're giving a kapara to the Eibishter, and what are you giving? The pasuk is making sure to emphasize that whatever you're giving has to be a half. It's not a whole. Why shouldn't I give the Eibishter a whole? And by the way, and what if I want to give the Eibishter a whole dafka? So what state? You can't. Every single one of us considers ourselves to be a whole. I'm a whole. Everything is me and about me. B'shvili nivra elam. I don't mean that in a holy way. B'shvili nivra elam, I mean that if darfnish ankum and zakenish, I don't need anyone. But then, if you go to the very essence of a yid, a yid is only a machzis. And who's the other machzis? Is Hashem's other machzis. At that level, we are one with Hashem. We bring our 10 geira, we bring our 10 koiches. And then that connects with Hashem's 10 spheres. And together we make a complete shekel. And that is the source of the kapara. When the fire comes from where? From that place in the neshama where I'm a machzis, where I'm a half. And then I connect to the Eibishter, that is the ultimate kapara for Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah is me saying, I'm a whole, I don't need Hashem. The ultimate kapara is from the machzis, when I reach deep into that place where I am a machzis. And this connects also to the Yom Tov of Purim, which is coming. You know that Shkolem is very connected to Purim. Gemara says that when Haman gave the 10,000 kikar kasef, the Eibishter told Haman, Rasha, you Rasha. The Shkolem of the Yidden came and they preempted your Shkolem. And we know also The Mishnah says that echad ba'adar mashmiyim al ashkalim, shachis to other. And why is that? Because also by other, what happened by Purim? Purim, what was the problem that the Yidden bowed down to? They bowed down to the Tzelem, Shtachu v'Tzelem, and therefore Taka, the Yidden were in deep trouble. And Haman therefore thought that he would be able to be able to accomplish his Gzeir against the Yidden, Rahman al-Islam. What made sure that the Gzeir didn't happen? The Mitzvah Shackle. The etzendike connection, that essential connection that Yidden have with the Eibishter, always have with the Eibishter, always had with the Eibishter, always will have the Eibishter. The fact that Yidden are essentially Yehudim, and a Yehudi is someone who is koifer b'aveidah zara. That is what preempted the whole the Gzeira and caused the Yehudim v'sa'ira, the Simcha, the Sasan, the Yikar.